So they take these young girls and go for medical exam. Then they verify if they are virgin or not.
North Koreans feel proud to be selected as pleasure squad.
오늘부터 너는 사람이 아니고 이름은 없고 그러니까.
Kim Jong Un has been known as an authoritarian leader. But then, is there more to his dictatorship style of leadership? Could there be something hidden from the public eye? North Korea has been tagged as the most dreaded place on earth. This is because of the exploitative nature of the government, forced labor, and the general secretive nature of the country. This has pushed many North Korean citizens to flee the country and seek refuge in others like China or South Korea. Even though this act had grave consequences if they were caught, some scaled through successfully. Among them is Yeonmi Park. This young North Korean lady revealed shocking details about a concubine's pleasure squad owned by Kim Jong Un. You won't believe all that she said. This supersedes all you must have heard about North Korea and its leader. Grab a seat as we delve into North Korea's hidden realities and Park's revelation. Kim has been the supreme leader of North Korea since December 2011 and the General Secretary of the Workers' Party of Korea since 2012. He is the third son of Kim Jong Il, the second supreme leader of North Korea, and the grandson of Kim Il-sung, the country's founder and first supreme leader. In late 2010, following his father's death in December 2011, the state television announced Kim as the great successor, automatically assuming the position of the General Secretary of the Workers' Party of Korea and the President of State Affairs. He is also a member of the Presidium of the WPK Politburo, the highest decision-making body in the country. In July 2012, Kim was promoted to the highest rank of Marshal in the Korean People's Army, consolidating his position as Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces. Ever since he was appointed the supreme leader, Kim has ruled North Korea as a totalitarian state, following the same style of dark and cruel practices of his father and grandfather. In 2014, a United Nations Human Rights Council report even mentioned that Kim could be put on trial for crimes against humanity. According to reports, he ordered the purge and execution of several North Korean officials, including his uncle, Jang Song-thaek, in 2013.
Kim Jong Un executed his uncle, Jang Song-thaek. There were two reasons. First was that he didn't applaud. Second was that he planned conspiracy.
He is also widely believed to have ordered the assassination of his half-brother, Kim Jong-nam, in Malaysia. He has also expanded the country's nuclear weapons program, which led to heightened tensions with the United States and South Korea, as well as China. However, all these are nothing compared to how he treats women, especially teenage girls. This is beyond what you can ever imagine. But how did the press find out about his pleasure squad?
The BBC's Victoria Derbyshire program successfully connected with two courageous individuals in North Korea who wanted to speak out about his cruel practices despite the tight restrictions on communication and the severe consequences of speaking out. In a country where leader Kim Jong Un is revered almost like a deity, openly questioning him is considered unthinkable. Citizens are taught to regard him as all-knowing and are instructed to report anyone who expresses dissent, even if it's a family member. Despite the risks, a market trader, Sun Hui, whose real name was undisclosed, chose to speak out, knowing she was taking a significant personal risk. She expressed widespread dissatisfaction with Kim Jong Un, highlighting the perception that he behaves like a businessman, exploiting the people and taking their money. She vividly described how people likened him to a little vampire, cunningly extorting the population. For years, the BBC reporters secretly and tactically questioned several North Korean citizens to unravel the mystery behind Kim Jong's concubines, only to be shocked by their findings. Of course, a political figure has the right to have as many concubines as he wants. No one can stop that. But in North Korea, it's a different ballgame. The dehumanization and torture these young forced-to-be concubines go through is beyond human comprehension. To grasp better the magnitude of what's going on, let's dive into the harsh reality of living in this country, not to talk of living under the same roof with the perpetrator. The BBC has implemented measures to protect their identities and ensure their safety. If Sun Hui's true identity were to be discovered by the government, she and all her family members, including distant relatives, would likely be sent to one of the regime's labor camps or even face execution. Not only that, 3 generations of her family would also be imprisoned. Guess you are surprised by that, but that's just the tip of the iceberg. Do you know that possessing and watching foreign films and TV shows can result in a 10-year sentence in the harsh labor camps of the country? Aside from the leader's cruel act, to be born and to live in this country is a nightmare. Chol Ho, a member of North Korea's military, shared his desire for a life free of envy and illness, not just for himself, but also for his parents and children. In a clandestine interview with the Victoria Derbyshire program, he revealed that dissent is brewing among the people who express frustration with their everyday lives. However, Chol Ho also cautioned that speaking out against the state could lead to harsh consequences, including sudden disappearances of one's entire family carried out by the state security department, the Boibu. Although such incidents have not occurred recently, the fear of reprisal hangs heavy in the air. He even claimed the authorities imprisoned some individuals recently for fictitious reasons. They coerce people to confess that they are plotting to flee to China and then incriminate them, Chol Ho explains. In North Korea, the individuals mentioned by Chol Ho often face imprisonment in the country's brutal prison camps, where reports indicate that detainees endure torture, are forced to dig their graves, and are subjected to rape as a form of punishment. These camps can hold a staggering 20,000 inmates each, leading to a pervasive atmosphere of fear and terror in society. As for Sun Hui, she attests that the government patrol squad practically dominates her community, a distressing reality that profoundly impacts their daily life and mental state. The government vigorously opposes the consumption of foreign media as it undermines its anti-Western propaganda. However, many individuals obtain foreign media through illicit means, such as smuggling them in from China on USB drives or acquiring counterfeit DVDs. Korean culture is incredibly popular, says Sun Hui, who admits to occasionally indulging in Korean dramas and foreign films during the night. But the authorities are very strict in their crackdown. I've heard that the penalties for getting caught are substantial, but despite that, people still want to watch them. The allure is easy to understand, as people are naturally curious about the lifestyle of South Koreans. While an increasing number of North Koreans have the opportunity to catch a glimpse of life beyond their borders, many are still unaware of how the outside world perceives them. Chol Ho candidly concedes his limited understanding of how outsiders perceive people like himself. His interactions have been confined to fellow North Koreans, yet he attests to life's challenges in his country. Our people are kind, he asserts. We have a saying that neighbors are better than cousins. When our neighbors face hardship, we come together to offer support. In certain regions, residents take great risks by defecting to South Korea via China, endangering their lives in pursuit of freedom. In recent years, the number of defectors has declined, largely attributed to heightened border security measures and a controversial agreement with China to repatriate North Koreans discovered in the country. In Sun Hui's community, which is far from the country's borders, defections are rare. However, when they happen, the people who remain behind avoid referring to South Korea by its name. Instead, they use the phrase, "He went to Lower Town," to allude to a neighbor's disappearance. One of the defectors lucky to escape the harsh conditions in North Korea was Yeonmi Park and her family. However, this didn't happen easily. They had to go through difficult terrains before making it out. Hers was a different story, revealing a special aspect of Kim's actions towards women. But just before we get into her shocking revelation, have you ever thought for a moment why and how North Koreans look impoverished and their leader blowing up? You're about to discover another shocking revelation of how they all work for years without remuneration. Yes, you heard that right. The North Korean government is reported to continue to enforce the use of forced and uncompensated labor, even from school children and university students, as stated by Human Rights Watch. According to accounts from North Korean defectors in recent interviews with Human Rights Watch, individuals have endured lengthy periods of labor without any payment or with only nominal compensation. Furthermore, they have had to deal with the obligation to pay bribes or face severe repercussions if they failed to report to their designated workplaces. These defectors have disclosed that they were mandated to work at specific locations following their completion of schooling. The severe deterioration of a significant portion of the North Korean economy means that many of these positions either offer no remuneration or provide minimal replacement compensation in the form of food or other provisions.
We are starving, and hunger means death in North Korea.
In North Korea, failure to report to an assigned job for those who try to earn money in other ways can result in being sent to a forced labor camp for 6 months to as long as 2 years. The harsh reality faced by North Korean workers and students is unpaid forced labor and exploitation, said Phil Robertson, Deputy Asia Director at Human Rights Watch. He said those who refuse face being sent to forced labor camps where they must do hard labor, face physical abuse from guards, and are treated as less than human. Human Rights Watch interviewed approximately 65 defectors in South Korea and Thailand. One female North Korean defector who fled the country in December 2009 shared with Human Rights Watch that individuals who leave their jobs are subjected to legal punishment for being unemployed and are sent to forced labor camps for 3 to 6 months. In North Korea, anyone not employed is automatically viewed as a criminal. Another male defector who escaped North Korea in March 2011 revealed, "If you are assigned to work at a certain place, you must go without question. It is impossible to refuse work simply because you dislike it. It is undoubtedly mandatory." Some said upon completing their education, they were coerced by the authorities to work at a government-run mine, which was located far from their homes. However, they couldn't comply with this demand as they needed to care for their ailing family. To avoid the remote placement, some had no choice but to bribe the authorities, who transferred them to a nearby ceramics factory. Despite this change, they were still forced into labor at the ceramics factory. Moreover, it's crucial to note that failure to report to work could lead to severe physical punishment by workplace managers. A defector revealed to Human Rights Watch a distressing account of abuse and maltreatment at a factory. The defector explained, "The factory manager would frequently summon me, subject me to physical beatings, and verbally abuse me because I failed to report to work. Many witnesses saw me being assaulted. I tried to explain that I could not come to work due to not having any food, but my words only seemed to enrage them further. As I spoke, they grew increasingly furious." North Korean defectors have disclosed that their economic survival hinges on their ability to engage in informal business activities due to the lack of pay for their work. To pursue their own business, such as home production, selling goods in local markets, or trading across provinces and borders, they must pay bribes to local officials and enterprise managers to be excused from their daily work obligations. A female defector shared her experience with Human Rights Watch, revealing that she had to resort to starting a business due to the lack of rations. To avoid being sent to a forced labor camp for being unemployed, she had to consistently pay money to the company while discreetly running her own business. According to Robertson, North Korean government officials compel individuals to work without compensation and deprive them of adequate food, subsequently coercing them when they attempt to establish alternative means of sustenance. This represents a genuinely predatory regime, characterized by an economic framework founded on exploitation and maltreatment. In 2009, research conducted by the Citizens Alliance for North Korean Human Rights unveiled harrowing details of how teachers and school administrators compelled students to engage in various forms of labor. This included gathering food supplies from mountainous regions for resale, logging for school use, meeting quotas for valuable raw materials, and submitting them for recycling as part of a government initiative and participating in agricultural work on state-run farms. Disturbingly, students as young as 11 years old were required to start working, with those in impoverished northern provinces expected to begin as early as 8 or 9 years old. This sheds light on the difficult circumstances faced by students in North Korea, particularly in terms of child labor. The oppressive regime led by Kim Jong Un in North Korea has long been shrouded in secrecy and misinformation. However, courageous individuals have been able to shed light on the dire conditions faced by the people living under his rule. It has been revealed that the citizens of North Korea endure immense suffering and are subjected to harsh and unforgiving laws and punishments. Life in North Korea is incredibly challenging, with a dictator who prioritizes displaying his authority over the well-being of his people. While attempts have been made to provide some necessities, these efforts seem to serve as a facade to conceal the intense control and repression imposed upon the population. Keep watching as we delve into Yeonmi's story and what she revealed about Kim's treatment of women. The country's leader Kim Jong Un's pleasure group consists of about 2,000 girls. According to a report by Mirror, Ms. Park claimed that Kim Jong Un picks 25 virgin girls every year for his pleasure squad. Notably, the women are picked based on their looks and political loyalty. She further revealed that she was scouted twice for Kim's pleasure squad, but was not selected due to her family status. They visit every classroom and even go to schoolyards in case they missed someone pretty. Once they find some pretty girls, the first thing they do is check into their family status and their political status. They eliminate any girls with family members that have escaped from North Korea or have relatives in South Korea or other countries, she said. She claims that once the girls are selected, they are made to undergo medical examinations to ensure that they are virgins.
So they take these young girls and go for medical exam. Then they verify if they are virgin or not.
During the test, even the smallest defect, like a minor scar, leads to disqualification. After rigorous testing, only a few girls scale through. They are then sent to Pyongyang, where their sole purpose is to gratify the dictator's desires. The squad is divided into 3 groups, one trained in massage and the other in performing songs and dances. The third group has to be sexually intimate with the dictator and other men. They have to be sexually intimate with the dictator and other men. They have to learn how to please these men. That's their only goal, Ms. Park said. While the most attractive girls are selected to serve the dictator himself, others are assigned to satisfy lower-ranking generals and politicians. The report further stated that once the members of the squad reach their mid-20s, their tenure comes to an end. Some of them are often married to the leader's bodyguards. According to Fox News, the Kipumjo or pleasure squad has existed since the administration of North Korea's first leader, Kim Il-sung. The first group was recruited in 1978 by Ri Dong-ho, the first vice director of the United Front Department of the Workers' Party of Korea, to entertain Kim at the Munsu Chodaeso Munsu guest house. Bradley K. Martin's 2004 book, Under the Loving Care of the Fatherly Leader, is based on visits to North Korea, research, and interviews with defectors in the early 1990s. Martin writes that Kim Il-sung was not just interested in pleasure, but also in rejuvenating himself by absorbing a young virgin's life force during intimacy. There were rumors that Kim Il-sung's son and successor, Kim Jong-il, also maintained a Kipumjo, according to an unnamed North Korean defector reported in the online Daily NK in 2013. The group that used to perform for Kim Jong-il was disbanded shortly after his death in December 2011, according to the South Korean newspaper, The Chosun Ilbo, in April 2015. The newspaper said that Kim Jong-il's Kipumjo members were made to sign a pledge of secrecy in exchange for money and gifts. According to the paper, the women who worked as entertainers received an amount of money worth up to $4,000 before returning to their hometowns. The squad members were also said to have received compensation in the form of home appliances. In 2015, Kim Jong Un, the son and successor to Kim Jong-il, was said to be seeking new members for his own Kipumjo after his father's group of women had been disbanded, according to the Chosun Ilbo.
Kim Jong Un in 1 year, in the last few years, he just spent about almost $4 million USD, $3.8 million on the lingeries and undergarments, just alone, that much money for the pleasure squad girls.
Kipumjo is briefly discussed in the 2009 book Nothing to Envy by United States journalist Barbara Demick. The book is based on interviews with North Korean defectors. According to Demick, girls nationwide were recruited to be Kipumjo members according to government criteria. Suki Kim, a Korean-American journalist who has lived undercover in North Korea, wrote in 2014 that one of the criteria was that they had to be virgins, again confirming Miss Park's words. In Bradley K. Martin's 2004 book, he says that schools recommended suitable teenage girls to recruiters, with their parents receiving enhanced status and money. Once recruited, members of the Kipumjo underwent extensive training, sometimes abroad, according to Mi Hyang. Martin adds that women retired from Kipumjo at 22 and married the country's elite members. In the 2014 memoir of defector Jang Jin-sung, Jang writes of the Kipumjo during Kim Jong Il's rule. Most of them go into arranged marriages with personal guards or senior cadres cleared to work in foreign affairs. Some even go on to become cadres themselves. The Pleasure Squad shows that North Korea's government has little or no regard for the human rights of its citizens. These young teenage girls are brainwashed to believe that only Kim Jong should be loved and cherished. They are made to believe that he is a semi-god. The government has succeeded for decades in showing that the country does not have regard for the female gender, which explains why so many young women desperately want to flee the country. How did Yeonmi Park manage to escape? Park was born on the 4th of October 1993 in Haesan, Ryanggang, North Korea. Her father was Park Jin-sik, and her mother was Beon Keum-suk. Her older sister, Yeonmi, was born in 1991. Park's father was a civil servant who worked at the Haesan Town Hall as a member of the ruling Workers' Party of Korea. He supplemented his income by smuggling goods from China. This was a terrible act, punishable under North Korean law. Eventually, it landed Park's father in trouble. In 2014, at a speech at the Oslo Freedom Forum, Park spoke about her life as a young teen watching the 1997 film Titanic. Park had previously believed that dying for the regime was the most honorable thing one could do, citing the film's themes of romantic love and selflessness as a broadening in her thinking from sacrificial national loyalty to a more personal, sacrificial devotion.
Turning point in my life was when I saw the movie Titanic. It was fascinating to me that anyone would make a movie out of such a shameful story. I was wondering if the directors and actors would be killed. By the way, I'm really glad that the couple is alive.
Park left North Korea in 2007 when she was 13. According to her account published in The Telegraph, after her father bribed his way out of jail, the family began to plan their escape to China. Still, Park's older sister Eunmi left for China early without notifying them. The family feared that they would be punished for Eunmi's escape, so Yeonmi and her mother left North Korea by traveling through China with the help of brokers who smuggle North Koreans into China. They escaped by crossing the border into Changbai Korean Autonomous County, Jilin, China, on the 30th of March 2007. Park and her mother found a Christian shelter headed by Chinese and South Korean missionaries in Qingdao. Due to the city's large ethnic Korean population, they could evade the attention of authorities by moving with the crowds. With the missionaries' help, they fled to South Korea through Mongolia. She couldn't escape with her father because he was sick and stayed behind in North Korea, thinking his illness would slow them down. After crossing the border, Park and her mother headed for Jilin. They unsuccessfully tried to find Park's sister, Eunmi, asking the traffickers about her whereabouts. Park and her mother assumed that Eunmi had died. In February 2009, after spending 2 days at a Christian shelter in Qingdao, she and her mother traveled through the Gobi Desert to Mongolia to seek asylum from South Korean diplomats. According to Park, as they reached the Mongolian border, the General Authority for Border Protection Guards stopped them and threatened to deport them back to China. Park recalls that at this point, she and her mother pledged to kill themselves with their razors, adding, "I thought it was the end of my life. We were saying goodbye to one another." Their actions persuaded the guards to reconsider their decisions, but they were kept in custody at a detention center in Ulaanbaatar, Mongolia's capital. On the 1st of April 2009, Park and her mother were sent to Ulaanbaatar's Chinggis Khan Airport to be flown to Seoul Incheon International Airport. She later told The Telegraph that she felt relieved when Mongolian customs officials waved her through. Many years later, the South Korean National Intelligence Service informed Park that her sister, Yeonmi, had escaped to South Korea via China and Thailand. Park and her mother eventually reunited with Yeonmi. Park was automatically granted South Korean citizenship upon arriving in Seoul in 2009, and after receiving training at the South Korean Ministry of Unification's Hanawon Resettlement Center, Park and her mother settled in Asan. They had difficulty adjusting to life in South Korea, but found jobs as shop assistants and waitresses. Despite arriving in South Korea with only a second-grade education, Park achieved her high school equivalency in 18 months. She was admitted to Dongguk University in Seoul. In 2011, Yeonmi Park participated as Yeju Park in the South Korean reality television program Now on My Way to Meet You, a show credited for launching her career as a public figure. Keep watching as we delve into the personal life of North Korea's supreme leader. You can hardly find a reliable source that shares North Korea's news. This is due to the high level of secrecy pervading the country. However, there were rumors that Kim Jong II, Kim Jong's father, married him to a North Korean lady named Ri Sol-ju. Why do we hardly hear more about her? After all, wives of other nations' leaders are popular. You can easily guess the answer. The North Korean leader is highly secretive with his family. Ri and Kim married in 2009. However, her identity as Kim Jong Un's wife became public in 2012. This was even after she gave birth to a boy child in 2010. His name was not mentioned. In December 2012, Ri was again pregnant and gave birth to a child named Kim Ju-ae. Rodman told The Guardian in September 2013 that Kim Jong Un had a beautiful family and was a good dad. Well, a good dad, maybe to his children, but not the general populace.
Kim Jong-un was young and naive. Kim Jong-un's father, Kim Jong-il, loved the pleasure squad. So, Kim Jong-un's biological mother was not able to be loved by his father.
In November 2022, North Korean state media revealed photographs of Kim Jong-un holding hands with his daughter at a missile launch site in Pyongyang. This clearly must be Kim Ju-ae. As stated earlier, the public does not know who Ri was. So much for being the wife of a whole country's leader. Therefore, when she made several public appearances next to Kim Jong, speculations began to reflect who she might be. Amazingly, South Korean intelligence officials wrongly identified her as Hyeon Song-wol, a former singer for the Pochonbo Electronic Ensemble. This was a popular musical group in North Korea. However, North Korean state media came to the rescue by announcing that she was Kim's wife on the 25th of July, 2012. While this announcement might not matter in a place like the United States, it marked a major shift in North Korea's leadership.
Kang Song-taek even tried to have a relationship with Hyun Song-wol, and Hyun Song-wol risked her life to tell the truth to Kim Jong-un. Hyun Song-wol told Kim Jong-un that your uncle is trying to touch me.
As past leaders have never introduced their wives publicly. However, the fact remains that the North Korean leader gives a slim chance for his wife to appear publicly, resonating with the leadership's nonchalant attitude towards women. Outro. What can you say about people's plight in North Korea? Feel free to share your mind in the comment section below. Remember to hit the like button and subscribe. Before you go, click on the video